Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm Johnny TCG. I'm excited to see you here today. Today we're taking a look at one of the new leaders in the new OP10 set, and that is Green Yellow Trafalgar Law. This leader has not really been super hyped up. People have been testing him, people have been playing him, but he didn't really see amazing results in the East. He's got a really interesting and unique leader ability that does seem like he would be really strong, and I'm not saying he's not. The thing is, though, it is a very delicate leader ability. Taking cards from your life and cheating them out does make you vulnerable if you don't have the proper defensive in place, because you're going down in life voluntarily. That can be a little scary sometimes. If you like life manipulation, if you like cheating out characters and board combos where you're bringing characters back to your hand, playing them back out, and things like that, then I really think you'll enjoy this leader. Personally, that's not my favorite style of gameplay, so this is one of those leaders where in almost every video I say this is like one of my favorite leaders to play. This is actually going to be a video in which I don't say that. I did not love playing this leader. It was great practice to test him out and explore the different intricacies of the deck, because there's really a lot of attention to detail needed to really maximize this deck's potential. In today's video, we're going to be doing a deck breakdown, taking a look at all the cards I have in this deck list. Then of course we're going to do a custom leader giveaway. I've got a custom Green Yellow Law leader to give away, and I think you're really going to like it. And then of course after that we're going to take this deck to the sim, see how it does, and then talk about it afterwards. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out a ton. And with that being said, let's go straight into the deck profile. Starting off with our leader, he is a 4-life Green Yellow mono leader, 5,000 power, nothing too crazy there. Then he's got the ability Don ×1 activate main. If the total cost of your characters is 5 or more, you can return one character to your hand, then reveal the top card of your life, and then if that is a supernova type card with a cost of 5 or less, you get to play that card out. Now this is really an exciting leader ability. It's going to be really fun if you like doing those sorts of things, manipulating the board, especially with that 5 cost OP10 Law. This deck is very reminiscent of Red Green Law that was very popular in the early days of the One Piece TCG meta. While cheating off 5 cost supernova bodies can be really strong, especially since a lot of those 5 cost supernova cards are strong themselves, there is definitely a time and a place for this leader ability. You need to be very careful, because if you don't do your math right, if you do your leader ability at the wrong time, you might be too aggressive and then leave yourself vulnerable to your opponent attacking you. If you're playing this leader, I would love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments down below. I would love to hear the secret sauce that you may have that is holding me back from really mastering this deck. Starting off, we've got 4 of the 5 cost 6,000 power Cavendish from EBO1, 1k of counter, which is very nice, and then he's got the amazing ability of on play and when attacking. Both of them, you get to set 2 of your rested Don as active. You can only have 1 Cavendish on the field in order to get this ability, so be careful not to have 2 out at the same time, or else you won't be able to use their abilities. This is simply one of the best 5 cost supernova options, and so I don't really think there's a ton to say about him. He just makes everything so much easier when you can keep him on the board. I'm a big fan of the OP10 Killer Blocker, 2 cost 2,000 power with 1k of counter. He's easy to play out, especially nice to pair with the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd, and then he has the effect of Don ×1 on the block. If you have 3 or more characters on the field, draw a card, which with this deck is going to be very common. You're often going to be flooding the board, and you'll be able to meet that threshold pretty easily. 4 of the 5 cost 6,000 power Trafalgar Law blockers from OP10. He's a blocker, and then he's got the on play of returning one of your characters to your hand. Then you get to play out a 3 cost or less character from your hand. This is a great way to utilize searchers. If you have searchers on the board, you can bring them back to your hand and then play them out again using this Law's ability. A 6k blocker is also very nice. I love him in this deck. We're running 3 of the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd from OP10, 8 cost 8,000 power. Don ×1 on your opponent's turn. If he is rested, he is the only card your opponent can swing into, meaning he's just like a giant blocker that your opponent is forced to deal with. He also has the activate main ability during your turn that you may rest him and then play out a cost 3 or less character from your hand. This is a great way to get a blocker on the field the same turn you actually played him. I do think he fits better into the green Bonnie from OP07. I feel like that leader ability really works perfectly with this 8 cost Kidd, but it is what it is. We're running it in this deck, and he's pretty solid. Hody Jones is not a supernova. He is not searchable at all. He is just some crazy spice to hopefully win you the game. Resting 2 of your opponent's Don or characters can really just put you over the edge and just go for lethal on a turn, which you really shouldn't be able to. Only 2 of them seems like the right amount, because you don't need to see him in every game, and he's very situational, but I'm a big Hody believer in green decks, and if you disagree, I'd love to hear why in the comments. 3 of the 5 cost 6,000 power Jewelry Bonnie characters from from OP07 as well. 1 cost counter, which is nice. And then she has the on play of freezing one of your opponent's Don cards or leader cards that are currently rested. This is unbelievably strong, throwing your opponent off curve, especially when you're cheating her out with leader ability, not having to play her out for 5 Don, getting her out for technically just 1 Don on your leader. Definitely one of my favorite cards in this deck, and I think you can make the argument she should be played as a 4 of. Some new spice from OP10 is the new 3 cost 4000 power Tashigi character. Not only does she have 2k counter, which is nice, she does have an amazing ability that combos very nicely with our 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd. We can cheat her out with him, and then when she's on the field, if one of your green characters would be removed from the field to do one of your opponent's effects, you may instead rest Tashigi, which is crazy. It's a great way to get around a Gum Gum Red Rock, which is typically the best way to get rid of an 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd. Her not being searchable does feel a little bit bad, but at the end of the day, she can still be a 2k counter, so I think she's worth including in this deck. 4 of the starter deck 2 Jewelry Bonnie Searchers, a 1 cost 1000 power 1000 counter searcher where you get to rest the Don, rest her, and then do a search. You could do this multiple turns in a row if your opponent leaves it on the board. We're going to be running dual searches in this deck list. We've got the 1 cost Jewelry Bonnie, and then we got the 1 cost Monkey D. Luffy. The 1 cost Monkey D. Luffy we're also running 4 of. These are from OP10, and this is more of your standard on play searcher. So both of these cards are great to send back to your hand using your leader ability and then potentially playing them out later to do another search. I think running 4 of both of them is a good move. A little bit of spice here. Starter deck 2 Trafalgar Law, 5 cost 6000 power. Like a lot of the other supernova type characters, his on play is very nice as well. On play, you get to restand one of your supernova type characters with a cost of 5 or less. This is a great way to restand your Cavendish and use his ability again. I only found myself playing 1 of him. If you wanted to play more though, I definitely don't think you'd be crazy because this card's pretty solid. We're running 2 of the OP04 Caramel, 2 cost 1000 power, 1k counter. This is a little bit of an oddball to play in the deck, but on your turn when you play her out, you do get to draw a card, which that is a great way to get more card draw and then bounce her back to your hand using your leader ability or using your 5 cost blocker Law's ability to pop her back to your hand. She does have the trigger as well, which lets you play her out and then KO one of your opponent's cost 2 or less characters. That's not really going to come up that often, but if it did and it was helpful, then amazing. While I do appreciate the spice, this is probably a card that could be cut, and then instead maybe you go for more 5 cost 6000 power starter deck 2 Trafalgar Laws. A new 2k counter from OP10 is a 1 cost 0,000 power Capone Beige. He's got the on play that allows you to take the top or bottom card of your life, then you get to add 1 supernova type character to the top of your life face up. Basically just a great way to set up your leader ability, a great target to bounce back to your hand, and he is a 2k counter. 4 of makes total sense here for me. Continuing with the new OP10 cards, we do have a 3 cost 4000 power 1k counter Jewelry Bonnie blocker. Her on play ability is that you get to take the top or bottom card of your life and add it to your hand, then you get to put a 5 cost supernova character to the top of your life face up, again setting up your leader ability perfectly. A lot of cards in this deck do that, and we really appreciate it. I like her out of 4 of in this deck. She combos so well with your leader ability, and then she also can be cheated out with our 5 cost OP01 Law and the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd as well. For those reasons I run her at 4, but if you ran her at 3, I think that makes sense too. Our next 2k counter is the X Drake from OP10, 3 cost 3000 power 2k counter, which is very nice. He does have the activate main ability where if your life total is equal or less than your opponent, you may rest this character and then rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. This is a great way to potentially get rid of a Bon Clay or swing into one of Dofi's bodies. I think this card is very nice, especially since you can always bounce them back to your hand at the end of the day. That's one thing you'll hear about in this deck. I've said it a lot already, is just being able to bounce cards back to your hand and then getting value from them again, whether that be playing them out again or just using their counter to get out of attacks. One of the new secret rares from OP10 is this 7 cost 9000 power Trafalgar Law, which is an absolute beast. On play, you get to add 1 supernova card to the top of your life face down, and then you give 1 Don to your leader, setting up your leader ability absolutely perfectly. You don't even have to use your leader ability that turn, even though you most likely will. So at the end of the day, he's just healing you a life and then giving you a Don on your leader. If you want to cheat out a body using leader ability, you can. If you don't, then that's fine too. You just healed a life. Congratulations. The reason we only run him at 3 though is this deck does like to play relatively low to the ground with a lot of 5 cost bodies, as you can see. So not always we're going to be playing out big bodies depending on the matchup. Last but not least, we are running 1 copy of Straw Sword from starter deck 2. I really think this is the most underrated card in the game. 2 costs to rest any of your opponent's characters is crazy. Of course, you do have that Hody Jones that you can play to get a similar effect, But if you don't have that, this Straw Sword can come in so clutch. It also has the trigger where you get to play a cost 2 or less Supernova type character from your hand to the field, which you'll see in one of the games I did do, and that was pretty rad if you ask me. This could definitely win you a Blackbeard matchup, and I just know your opponent would be really frustrated. That's the list I'm running with. Again, I don't necessarily love it just because this leader does not really mesh with my playstyle, but I gave him a shot. I think I've got some very interesting games for you. Before we get into the gameplay, of course, I've got a giveaway for you. If you're new to the channel, we do a giveaway in just about every video. Today, we're going to be giving away a custom green-yellow law leader using art from the One Piece Treasure Cruise game. I am not the artist. I am not selling this. This is just a fun, personal fan project. Editor, throw it on screen if you haven't already. Look at that beautiful artwork, ladies and gentlemen. All you have to do to enter this giveaway is 1, leave a like, 2, leave a comment. And if this video gets 20 likes in the first 24 hours, I'll choose a random US-based commenter and send it to you for completely free. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. No cost associated with this. If you want a free custom leader, like, comment. It's as simple as that. If you want to support the channel even more, if you want to help us continue to grow, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button down below. It's a red button. It should be easy to find. Don't forget to hit it. It means the world to me. It helps the channel grow. And with that being said, editor, roll the gameplay. Our first matchup of the day is going to be against a green carrot from OP10. This is a leader that I think is pretty slept on. I think she's a lot better than people realize. It's just that usually if people want to play green, they're going to go with the OP07 Jewelry Bonnie. On our first turn, we do play out that 1-cost Jewelry Bonnie Searcher. That's a great card to find on turn 1. Then we can use it to search on turn 2. Now, they're going to play out the 1-cost Wanda. That is a Minx Searcher, and they're going to draw the Milky from OP08. Nothing too crazy there. We're going to start our turn with a Bonnie Search. We honestly have a couple of decent options. I'm going to go with the X-Drake, though, just because I love to have another 2K in my hand. With our remaining Don, we will swing 7 into them, and I wouldn't be surprised if they take this. Yeah, they will, and then we'll just pass it back to them. 4 Don for them to work with. They're definitely going to clear this Jewelry Bonnie this turn. The question is, what will they do with the 4 Don? They're going to start off with that 5,000 power swing into Jewelry Bonnie. The reason they did that and not swing with Wanda is because they want to keep at least one Mink type character on the field, and if they swung with Wanda, we'd be able to swing into it as well and get that Mink character off the field so that they can't utilize their ability. Now, I'm thinking about Cavendish here. Cavendish is just so good on curve. We're going to give 2 down to our leader again and then swing 7,000. They established that Tashigi, which they could combo with another character, and that could be a little bit annoying. But I'm not too worried about it at the moment. We do have this Cavendish, which we absolutely love. Now, using their leader ability, they can rest it, which is very unfortunate. They have 6 down to work with, and we do see the carrot. That is tragic. That is going to be a pain in my side. I don't have any great way to remove the carrot at this very moment. They're going to swing 6,000 into us, and I'm debating on countering here just to protect my life a little bit, but we do end up taking that and get the 5-cost Trafalgar Law. We could use that to maybe bounce back the Cavendish back to our hand. Now, I'm wondering, honestly, would it be crazy if I use Straw Sword to swing into that carrot just because I really want to get that off the board? We're going to play down the Jewelry Bonnie, I think, and maybe stack our life and do a combo with that. Maybe play down the Trafalgar Law off the Jewelry Bonnie. We'll take our top life. We'll put down the Trafalgar Law at the top. Before I utilize leader ability, though, I'm actually going to play out the X-Drake. I'm going to try to remove this Tashigi on this current turn. But in hindsight, this is a big mistake. Not the biggest mistake in the world, but I should be swinging into their life right here. There's no card in my deck in which they'd be able to use Tashigi to get value from. I'm just so used to wanting to get a Tashigi off the board that I'm doing this move, but in reality, this is a waste of a swing from me. If they do counter out of it, maybe that is good though. We're getting 2 cards out of hand, a 2K and a 1K, when that Tashigi is not even that important. Now we will use leader ability. We'll play out the Trafalgar Law. We get to bounce back the X-Drake 2K back to our hand, which is nice. We get value back from that, and now we get another 2K. And now the question is, do I want to pop the Cavendish back to my hand? I decided not to. I initially planned to, but I think I should have. I would have been able to bring the Cavendish back to my hand and free it from that carrot's effect. They can rest my Law though and use carrot's effect on that if they want. They'll probably swing into the Law here with the carrot and then freeze the Cavendish. The Cavendish does not really do any good for me being on the board if it's just going to keep getting frozen by that carrot. So that's one thing to keep in mind. This is one thing about the green carrot deck in general, is that they're just able to rest your characters and then keep them rested using some of their abilities. 7,000 at the Trafalgar Law blocker. I'm going to 2K out of that. I really want to keep at least one body on the board. one decent sized body. I hope that Cavendish and Law can both survive this turn. The Cavendish will get frozen by that carrot, no surprise there. We are going to give another 2k for this Trafalgar Law. Maybe I'm saving this too much and should have blocked with Jewelry Bonnie there. But I am set for a possible Eustace Captain Kidd next turn, so that'll be a nice kind of wall to sit behind. While we can sit behind a couple of blockers, we don't have a ton of counter in our hand, and that is definitely my fault for countering out of all those Law swings. 5,000 now with our leader into their leader. I imagine they'll counter out of this. They are at 3 life, which is still relatively healthy, but they do have a lot of cards in hand. They will counter out of that with a 1k. Now I'm going to give 1 Don to our Eustace Captain Kidd. I'm debating here of whether or not I actually want to swing with the Trafalgar Law blocker. Even though I will be able to play out another blocker using Eustace Captain Kidd's effect, they do have the leader ability that lets them rest one of them. So even if I have 2 on the board standing up, that really only turns into 1. So I'm going to keep 3 up, meaning that if they rest 1, I'm still at 2, which is pretty safe with a couple counter cards in my hand. Not as much as I would like, but still a decent amount. That's one thing about this deck. I just feel like 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd is so much better in Jewelry Bonnie. They are going to have that 9 cost Shanks from the new starter deck, relatively new starter deck, to pop the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd. My plan is instantly foiled. At least I do still have some blockers on the board, but yeah, I can already tell this game is not going to end well for us, most likely at least. They're going to rest our Trafalgar Law blocker using leader ability, swing 7,000 into it, and we will protect it here. I'm not really sure if that was the right move or not. They will probably swing into it with the carrot character and then Smoker into our life. Now we do have that killer blocker that we'll probably use if they try to swing into our life. They will follow up with a Smoker 7,000 swing into our life, and then we will block with killer. I think they should have swung with carrot first. I'm not exactly sure why they swung with Smoker first. Maybe that's just me though. If you see something else and that was the right order, then yeah, then that makes sense. But in just my eyes, I don't know if that was the right order. We're going to use Jewelry Bonnie 1 cost searcher to try to find something at least. This Trafalgar Law 5 cost won't be bad. It'll allow us to restand that Cavendish, which will be really helpful. We also could have taken the 7 cost Trafalgar Law from OP10. That would have been great too. I don't know which one necessarily would have been better though. I mean, I don't think either way it's going to matter too much. We're trying to do like a Hail Mary, like really try to pull off an unlikely victory. I don't even think we're going to be able to last this next turn. We're going to swing 8,000 now with Cavendish into the carrot. Hopefully we can get this off the board. We need to get like one of their attackers at least off the board. We do have 3 blockers up, but as we know, it could turn into 2 instantly with their leader ability. They are going to counter out of this attack, a 2k counter and a 1k counter as well. Now we're just going to swing really big into the carrot. I'm not sure if it really makes a difference between swinging into the carrot and the Smoker there. The Smoker, of course, does have Banish, which means it's going to have much more impact if they swing onto my life. But that carrot can freeze our characters. So either way, we're in a rough spot. Now they've got another 9 cost Shanks. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if there's any coming back from this. This is a great example of a game where like, maybe it's just a pilot issue, but sometimes Law just doesn't feel great. It's probably just a pilot issue. I'm sure people can master it, but like, I don't know. Did you see any major misplays from me? Let me know in the comments down below. They're going to rest my Law blocker, swing 7,000 into us. We might just take this just because this game's over, you know? We take that, we get the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd. They'll swing 7,000 now with Smoker. They're going to swing into the Law, but I think they should have swung into our life. Not that it makes much of a difference. This next turn, we can hypothetically go for game. We need all 4 of our swings to hit, and with 3 cards in hand and 3 life cards, I'm not feeling very confident in that. None of our bodies are big bodies. We're going to have to hope that they are incredibly down bad for counter cards in their hand. We're going to start, like, I'm just debating on what the number should be, but it feels kind of silly to even do so. There's no way all these swings are going to get through, but let's try it anyway. We'll start off with 1 down on our Law blocker, 7,000 at them. They'll have to give us 2 cards. Once they do that though, this game will be over. They might just take every single swing and then counter out of the last one just to make us feel bad. They will take that first swing. There is still hope, ladies and gentlemen. Now 9,000 with the other Trafalgar Law from starter deck 2, I believe that is. And in this moment, I just kind of realized I miscalculated. I forgot that I just miscalculated, ladies and gentlemen. Where is my mind? I'm flustered, I'm tilted. Now we're going to swing 7,000 with our Jewelry Bonnie. If this gets through, there's still a chance. Do they have the counter? They're going to have a 2K and a 1K, and that is just it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to hit them with the GG and concede. Rough game. Let me know if you saw any big play mistakes in that, because I don't know if I made any glaring mistakes. On that opening search with Jewelry Bonnie, maybe I should have taken that 7-cost law instead of the 2K counter, but it is what it is. On to the next one. We're going to go against a blue Buggy from OP10. That got some new support with that new 7-cost Buggy promo. I think this is going to be an interesting match. We can apply some pressure to them, but it's going to be hard to deal with their board. The 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd can also be removed relatively easy if they find their 10-cost Buggy, so we can't really put too much faith in that. We're going to start off with the 1-cost Monkey D. Luffy Searcher looking for a Supernova, and we are going to take that Cavendish. We already have a Cavendish in our hand, but Cavendish is just such a strong card. We'll take another one. Then we'll play down the 1-cost Jewelry Bonnie Searcher. Not being able to search with her is not a big deal. We'll be able to do that next turn. We'll be at 4 down next turn, and we'll probably do a double Jewelry Bonnie search with that other one in our hand. They're just going to swing 8,000 at us this turn, and of course we are going to take that. We do not even have the counter to get out of that if we wanted to. Getting the Straw Sword trigger is very interesting. You get to play up to one Supernova type character with a cost of 2 or less from your hand, and so we will use that to cheat out another Jewelry Bonnie. I don't think it's too impactful here, but just a nice little thing, cheating out a 1-cost searcher that allows us to search next turn and save some Don. Off our first Jewelry Bonnie search, I'm leaning towards taking the 5-cost Jewelry Bonnie. We are going to take that. That is a very nice card to use in this matchup to be able to freeze one of their characters or maybe their Don. Now we're going to search with our other Bonnie. Nothing too crazy. I guess we should take a 2K, and that should either be the X-Drake or the Capone Beige. I decide to be a little bit greedy, though, and take the 1-cost Monkey D. Luffy Searcher. We're going to play that out this turn as well. 4 searchers on the board is pretty crazy, and now we will definitely take a 2K. That was a little bit greedy of myself, if I'm being honest. Now we'll swing 6,000 into their leader. Next turn, they will probably clear both my Jewelry Bonnies, but those Monkey D. Luffys will be able to pop back to our hand with our leader ability on the following turn. They are going to counter out of that 6,000 power swing with the 2K counter, and now I'm just going to pass it back to them. They'll start with the 2,000 power swing into one of our Jewelry Bonnies. We could even counter out of this just to make things a little bit awkward for them. They won't be able to clear both of my Jewelry Bonnie searchers. For 5 Don, they'll likely use leader ability here. They'll probably swing 5,000 to one of the other. The rest of the Jewelry Bonnies, that leaves us with 1, which we can then pull some shenanigans, with between leader ability, between Cavendish, between our 5-cost Trafalgar Law Searcher that takes cards back to our hand, plays them back out. There's a lot of things moving right now, and I'm just kind of messing around, seeing what we can pull off in this matchup. With their leader ability, they're able to cheat out the 6-cost Dracule Mihawk from their hand. This is probably one of the better cards for us to see, just because it's not an OP09 Crocodile that cheats them out 2 bodies, or the the promo 7-cost Buggy that would let them cheat out their 6-cost Mihawk as well. So we're in a very good spot. They're going to clear one of our Jewelry Bonnies. Now we're thinking about what order to exactly do this in. I think we should start off by searching with Jewelry Bonnie, which we will. We have a couple different options. We have the Trafalgar Laws, but we're going to go with that X-Drake 2K. I need to be a little bit more conservative with the amount of 2Ks I'm playing out. Now, I play down the Cavendish. I'm thinking about maybe just doing a blind leader ability. Is that the craziest thing you've ever heard, doing a blind leader ability? I think it makes a little bit of sense. We're going to do 6,000. It doesn't make sense to do 6,000 though, because they do have that blocker, of course. We'll do 7,000 into their leader. They will block and then counter to keep that Mihawk alive. I think it would have been a better idea for them just to take this. We get really lucky though, and we do see that Jewelry Bonnie doing blind leader ability. We are going to freeze their Dracule Mihawk, and now that thing is frozen. It's not going to be able to apply any pressure this turn. It's not going to be able to block for them next turn. It was tempting to freeze one of their Don as well, but I think freezing that Dracule Mihawk is just a better idea, so they can not put a lot of pressure on our life this turn, at least slow it down a little bit. Here, they're going to start off with a Mr. 1 Galdino. They'll find that OP09 Crocodile that is so good, especially in this matchup, where if they're able to flood bodies on the board, they're going to be able to put a lot of pressure on us. They're going to swing 6,000 now with their leader, and we will 2K out of that. 8 Don for us to work with. I'm tempted to do an 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd play here. The one thing about Eustace Captain Kidd, though, is he's not amazing this matchup. If they have that 10-cost Buggy, they'll be able to pop him right away. Now we're going to swing 6,000 with our Cavendish into their life. It was tempting not to swing into their life at all, just to kind of starve them out, but I do not want to just just kind of let the game go on indefinitely. Now we're going to do a big swing with Jewelry Bonnie into their Dracula Mihawk. 8,000 into it, they let it go. That's great news for us. 5,000 now with our leader, they'll take that as well. We are not going to set Eustace Captain Kidd up to use his ability just because my gut tells me they'll be able to remove it, and therefore using the Dawn on him would have been wasted. I'd rather try to get that Dracula Mihawk off the field, which we did successfully. My foresight did pay off because they did have that 10 cost Buggy to pop my Eustace Captain Kidd. Luckily, they do not meet the threshold of 4 other 5 cost characters to keep Buggy on the board, so we won't have to deal with that 10 cost 12,000 power body for now, but we do lose our 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd, which feels bad. They'll be able to swing 5,000 at us now. I do think we should counter out of this. I almost countered out with the Jewelry Bonnie, but getting rid of the Cavendish seems like the right move to me. 5,000 with their Moji. We will counter out of that one as well. We accidentally over counter. What the heck was I doing? Oh my god, I am such a fool. We'll take that 7,000 power swing, and we do get the 7 cost Dracula Mihawk. Ladies and gentlemen, I am losing it. 7 cost Trafalgar Law. We'll be able to put one of our 5 cost bodies into our life. We'll go with the Jewelry Bonnie just because we'll be able to freeze one of their characters. I'm thinking we freeze the Crocodile and then put pressure on their life with the rest of our cards. 6,000 into the Emoji. I would be surprised if they counter out of this, and they will. They'll give us a 2k. Now I'm thinking we just do 6,000 into that Emoji again. Before we go any farther, though, I will use my leader ability to cheat out the Jewelry Bonnie, freezing their Crocodile. There was actually like no need for that. Yeah, that is if anything, that's kind of like bad sequencing, just because now my opponent knows what I'm going to use some of my Dawn on and knows what my play is. Now 6,000 at the Emoji, and they will counter out of that with another 2k. This is a tough decision. Should I develop the 5 cost Trafalgar Law as a blocker? I decide I just really need to get this Emoji off the board. We'll swing 8,000 at it, and then we will play out the Killer as well, giving a Dawn to Killer. When we block with him, we will be able to draw a card, which will be very nice, unless they have something that can pop it. They will start off with the 5 cost Mr. 1 Daz Bones to draw 2 trash 1. Trash the Charlotte Pudding. They do not need that right now. And even though we've got a pretty wide board, I'm not feeling super confident. They're going to be able to put a lot of pressure on us. If they have a way to get rid of this Killer, then they're going to be swinging into our life. They're going to use leader ability again, trashing a 10 cost Buggy. Glad to see that 10 cost Buggy gone. Playing out the 6 cost Dracula Mihawk, which is a very nice blocker. And then here, I could counter out of this and not use our blocker, but I think it makes more sense to block just because we need space on our board for some of our other characters, you know? Now, we do have another blocker with the 3 cost Jewelry Bonnie that we just drew into that would let us put a Supernova card into the top of our life. That's not a bad idea. We're going to start off with a 6,000 power swing from our Jewelry Bonnie character. They will take that. Now I'm debating between swinging my big Trafalgar Law or a smaller Jewelry Bonnie. We're going to swing into the Crocodile, I think. Maybe we should have done this first, or maybe we should just go into their life. It's going to be a little bit of an intense next turn, just because we're going to have 2 blockers on the field with our Jewelry Bonnie and our Trafalgar Law. But if they have a Gravity Blade Raging Tiger, perhaps they're going to be able to swing at our life. 7,000 now with our other Jewelry Bonnie. I imagine they're going to block one of these ones. They are not. They're going to take that. They're going down to 1 life. I think they're just going to leave their Dracula Mihawk up if they can, and then just go all out next turn. Using Bonnie's ability, we'll put a 5 cost Trafalgar Law on the top of our life, and then we're going to swing 7,000 into their leader. I'd expect them to counter out of this if they can. They will not. They will take that hit, and then they will just concede. I was confused by this concede at first because it looks like they're actually going to be in decent position to clap back, but they probably think I'm going to throw all of my down on my leader and force them to block with their Dracula Mihawk. If I do that, then they're forced to only have like really 2 realistic swings, and with a blocker and 1 life card, I should be all right. And then just have been fine. A Gravity Blade Raging Tiger would have helped them, but I still think I have the numbers in terms of swings. On to the next one, Red Green Law, a new deck from OP10 that is going to be super popular. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it won't be, but I think it's a really strong leader and that you shouldn't be surprised to see it at locals. I think we might struggle into this matchup just because it's a very defensive deck. They're going to start off with the Virgo Search and draw the Kamakura Jusolshi. How was my pronunciation there? Now we're going to just do a Monkey D. Luffy Search, look at the top 5 for a Supernova. I'm liking that Jewelry Bonnie. I think that might be our best bet, developing a blocker, sending the top card of our life to to potentially do a leader ability seems like the move. We'll take that, and I think we're just going to swing 7,000 with our leader ability. I'm so used to with green decks leaving a Don up for Jewelry Bonnie. For those that don't know, I love Jewelry Bonnie. She's one of my favorite leaders in the game, so I have to remind myself not to leave a Don up or else I'm going to make a play mistake. We're going to swing 7,000, no trigger there, and we can pass it back to them. They'll start with 1 Don on their leader, swinging 6,000 at us. I think we're okay to take this, but I will give them a counter just because I want to save our life a little bit. But in hindsight, I think we would have been fine just to take that. With their remaining 3 Don, they will play down the OP10 Sanji. That is a very nice card for them to develop early. I think my turn is going to be pretty simple. We're going to deploy a Cavendish and then maybe do a blind leader ability. We'll swing first for 7,000 with our leader. They will take that, which is not too surprising, and then we will use our leader ability blind. We send back the Monkey D. Luffy Searcher to our hand. It was only a 1-cost Jewelry Bonnie at the top of our life, so we can't use leader ability there. It would have been nice to get lucky, but hey, that's just the case. That's just the way life goes. 5 Don for their 5-cost Smoker. That Smoker is going to be really rough in this matchup for us to deal with. They get to set 3 Don active now between Smoker's ability, their leader, and their character. They're going to swing big with their Sanji. We will take that and get that 1-cost a Jewelry Bonnie Searcher. 3 Don left for them to work with. We could see a big swing from their leader. They're going to do 6,000 into our life, which we will give them the 2k for, and then we do see that 2k Rosinante blocker. We do have that 1-cost Caramel that we just drew into. That could be nice to draw a card and then send it back to our hand with our leader ability. First, we will use our 1-cost Monkey D. Luffy Searcher and find the 5-cost Jewelry Bonnie. We'll use leader ability this turn, so we'll establish the 3-cost Jewelry Bonnie blocker, setting the 5-cost Jewelry Bonnie character at the top of our life. We are going to sequence this a little bit awkwardly. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I am not amazing with this deck. I'm usually a little bit better with sequencing, and we'll give a Don to our leader, but we'll actually swing first with Cavendish for 6,000 into that Sanji. That's at 4,000. If they want to keep this alive using counter from their hand, that's fine with me. They will not. They'll send it to the grave. They do get to draw a card. Now I've got 4 Don left to work with. I'm thinking maybe playing another Luffy Searcher, or should I do the Jewelry Bonnie Searcher? We'll go with the Luffy Searcher, and we'll take that 7-cost Trafalgar Law. I think I'm very happy to find that now because that does heal us a life. Now we can do leader ability. The question is, what do we want to play? What do we want to take back to our hand? We're going to play down that Caramel, draw another card, then swing for 7,000 using our leader. I wouldn't be surprised if they block here, and that's what they'll do with the Rosinante. We'll use leader ability, send the Monkey D. Luffy back to our hand, play down the Jewelry Bonnie, freeze one of their Don, and normally this would be an amazing play, preventing them from playing the 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd on curve, but unfortunately between their Smoker leader ability and their Smoker character ability, they will be able to restand that Don. So it's not the end of the world for them. I mean, it's certainly a little bit annoying, and we do establish a decently sized body, but it's not as good as it normally would be versus other decks. This will not be an 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd turn, which is good for us. They're going to play down the 4-cost Tony Chopper blocker, which will be annoying to deal with when it's our turn to swing into them, but hey, I'd rather that than an 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd. They get to restand some Don between leader and character Smoker's abilities, and then hit us with a 7,000 power swing from their leader. I'm debating on blocking out of this, but then I remember they do have that Smoker that has Banish, so we'll take that hit just so we get that life card. Maybe that's a little bit risky, but we also don't have any 2Ks in our hand, and I don't necessarily want to show that. I think here is now when we block with the Jewelry Bonnie. We'll let that die, and then this next turn, we should probably go with the 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd play, establishing a little bit of a fortress. We could also go with the 7-cost Law. I don't think that's a terrible idea. 3 Don left for them to work with. They are going to play out another Sanji 3-cost from OP10. Now, the question is, do we go Eustace Captain Kidd or do we go 7-cost Law? We're going to go with Eustace Captain Kidd. It feels cool to establish that first in this matchup because they probably play it as well. 6,000 now with Cavendish. We're swinging with Cavendish first to ensure that we can restand that Don. That'll be good to give to our leader or Jewelry Bonnie. We could do leader ability again if we're really crazy, but I don't think we want to be that crazy. We can give a Don to our Eustace Captain Kidd. Cheat out a blocker. The question is, which blocker do we want to cheat out? I guess we want to cheat out the Killer and then maybe give a Don to Killer as well so that we can use Killer's ability to draw a card. We will use leader ability to bring back a Monkey D. Luffy. Even though it was a Tashigi at the top of our life, even if it wasn't, we don't have to play a card from the top of our life. So that leader ability is just a good way to get a card back in hand. In this case, the Monkey D. Luffy will be able to use it for counter or hypothetically play it out if we want to search for another card. I'm debating exactly what to do here and what numbers to swing for. I think that swing 6,000 with Jewelry Bonnie here is probably best. We decide not to go with the Killer play. We might still play it out off the Eustace Captain Kidd, but we won't give him a Don. I I think in hindsight, maybe that's not the worst idea. We'll swing 7,000 with our leader. They will block that and counter out with the Tony Chopper blocker. And now we'll swing 6,000 straight into their life. They don't have a blocker for that, so they'll either have to take this or give us a 2K. We play the TCG off of our 8-cost Eustace Captain Kid, which I think is a decent move. This deck sometimes does play the Ben Beckman from OP10 that could trash our Eustace Captain Kid if they bring the power level down. And so for that reason, I think developing a Tashigi to save it is not a bad idea at all. They're going to go 10 Don for Don Quixote Do Flamingo. I completely forgot about this card in this matchup. This is a really real threat against playing OP10 Smoker. They can catch you off guard with it. They'll be able to set some Don active, and now they'll give a Don to their Sanji and swing into us. Unfortunately, they forget about that Eustace Captain Kid effect, and so they kind of waste their Don, putting it on multiple characters, their leader and their Sanji. They also could have put it on the Smoker and swung into him, but alas, they screwed that up. A little misplay that happens time to time. It's easy to forget about that 8-cost Eustace Captain Kid's ability. We're going to play down the 7-cost Trafalgar Law here, put a card into the top of our life, kind of debating what exactly we want to put. I think the 5-cost Cavendish is probably the best play. We end up doing the Jewelry Bonnie. I don't know how much this really matters. We're going to do the Eustace Captain Kid, give him a Don to maintain his effect, give our leader 1 Don so we could swing at least 6,000. Should we swing 7,000? Of course, they do have that Tony Chopper, so a 6,000 attack won't go through. We're going to go 6,000 with our leader. They'll probably just free block this, but you have to. They will counter that with a 2K. That's a little bit of a misplay there because, or maybe it's not. Maybe they were worried I was going to swing with Tashigi. But yeah, I think that's a little bit of a misplay. We'll play down the killer now for 2 Don, and we're in a decent spot. Not a perfect spot, but a decent spot nonetheless. I think a Hody Jones would be pretty strong, being able to rest a killer and our Tashigi, then swing into our Eustace Captain Kid. That's probably their best play right here if they have it. They will start with a 10,000 power swing from their 10-cost Dofi. We will have to counter out of this, and it feels really bad using all 1Ks. That definitely exposes us a little bit, I think. It definitely tells my opponent, oh, this man does not have a lot of 2Ks, or if any 2Ks at all. Why would I give up all those 1Ks? 10 Don for them still to work with. They'll just be able to math the Eustace Captain Kid off the board if they really want to. Maybe I shouldn't have countered that much. Maybe I should have just blocked that. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about how exactly I should have played that. Now 10,000 at the Eustace Captain Kid with their Smoker. I think, again, I should just block out of this and leave the counter in my hand. I am going to go ahead and counter out of this, though, which I so disagree with. Just because I should have just blocked with it. At least now they'll have to invest more Don onto one of their characters. They actually won't throw down on any of their characters right away. They will play down the Hody Jones eventually, and yeah, this feels really bad. They're going to be able to clear my board. They'll start by using good old Hody Jones to remove my Eustace Captain Kid at 8,000 and at 8,000. Nothing I can do about that. Now 6,000 into the Cavendish with their Sanji. That's what really hurts the most. Gotta let that go too. And then to ensure all characters are removed from the board, they will swing into that Tashigi, and of course I gotta let that one go. And they do leave their Tony Chopper standing along with 3 Don. This deck runs a lot of counter events, and so I do not think there's any way I'm going to be able to get lethal here. I might start out with a 7-cost Law swing, use leader ability to just see what I can get off the top of my life, and then, I don't know, depending on how things go, maybe swing with the killer. We're just throwing a Hail Mary out again, folks. Starting with our Law, we'll swing 9,000 into them. 3 Don left up. There's no way they don't have the counter events for this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that new OP10 Punk Hazard event that minuses from the swing and buffs the target of the swing. Yep, that's what they'll do. 8,000 Smoker, 7,000 Law. That does not go through. We'll return our Smoker to our hand, even though I don't really think anything can be done. We'll use Jewelry Bonnie's ability. It's a Tashigi. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Now we're going to throw a bunch of Don on killer, I guess, and just swing big, and hopefully they don't have another event, but they do have a blocker up, so we'll see how this goes. We'll give a bunch of Don to killer, swinging 8,000 into their leader. There's no way this goes through. I would be absolutely shocked. They'll actually block this with their Tony Chopper, which I did not expect, and now here goes nothing. We're gonna throw 9 Don on our leader, Trafalgar Law. I'm a little bit in disbelief. I'm thinking they're just messing with me, just kind of baiting me. 9,000 to their leader. Moment of truth. Editor, throw in a drum roll here. They've got 2K, they've got 1K, they're at 8,000. I'm saying GG, thinking they have it, and they do not. GG though, that was really close. I definitely got lucky there at the end, but yeah, that's how most of my games are going with this green yellow law build. I just am not the most skilled pilot, and I think someone that's a little bit more skilled can do better, but at the same time I don't want to be too hard on myself. It's not like this deck was super successful in Japan, so there's a reason it's not super popular and well played. I don't think people have really high expectations for it. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. What did you think about them? I would love feedback on this deck list, even though I don't know if I'll be revisiting it anytime soon. If you saw any major misplays, definitely let me know in the comments. I admittedly am not very good with this leader. I think it's just maybe a skill issue, a pilot issue, but I think we still got some good games out of it. I'm happy I was able to showcase it, and hopefully some of you appreciated it. If not, then oh well, on to the next one. But I hope at least some of you found this video entertaining, found it enjoyable. If that's the case, consider hitting that like button, consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out a ton. And with that being said, have an amazing rest of your day. This has been a Johnny TCG video. Out. Don't forget to subscribe.